Many women often look at singleness as something negative, as though it is a mark of incompleteness or even rejection. But in truth, singleness is not a curse. It is a divine season of preparation. It is not a punishment, nor is it an accident. It is an intentional part of God's design for your life. Too often society teaches women that their value is tied to marriage, that their worth is measured by whether or not they are chosen by a man. But in God's kingdom, your worth is established long before anyone ever notices you. You were complete the moment God created you. You were equipped with gifts, talents, and purpose before marriage was even a thought. Singleness is therefore not an absence, but a presence, a season filled with meaning, opportunities, and spiritual growth. When God allows you to walk through a time of singleness, He is not withholding good from you. He is preparing you for greater. He is giving you the room to discover yourself, to know your identity in Him, and to develop the character necessary for the next chapter of your life. Think of a seed that has not yet been planted. The seed is not useless. It is filled with potential, waiting for the right soil and the right season to bring forth its fruit. In the same way, your singleness is not wasted time. It is the soil in which God is cultivating your destiny. If you learn to embrace it, you will see that it is in this stage of life that you have the freedom to grow without distraction, to nurture your gifts, and to lay the foundation for the woman you are becoming. Many women rush to escape singleness, believing that marriage will solve their struggles or heal their loneliness. But if loneliness exists when you are alone, it will not magically disappear when you are with someone. True fulfillment comes when you learn to enjoy your own company, when you discover that your completeness comes from God and not from another human being. Singleness is God's training ground where He teaches you to rely on Him as your source, where He molds your heart to be satisfied in Him first. Because if you do not know how to walk confidently as a whole person in your single season, you will enter marriage looking for someone else to complete you. And that pressure will crush any relationship. Preparation in singleness is about sharpening every area of your life. Spiritually, it is the time to deepen your intimacy with God, to learn His voice, and to anchor your heart in His promises. Emotionally, it is the time to heal from past wounds, to let go of baggage, and to build resilience that will protect you in the future. Intellectually, it is a season to study, to expand your knowledge, and to become skilled in areas that align with your calling. Even practically, it is the time to handle responsibilities, to learn financial stewardship, and to cultivate habits that will bless your future household. Marriage does not automatically give you wisdom or maturity. It reveals the level of preparation you have already invested in your single years. Consider the women in Scripture who walked faithfully in their season of singleness before stepping into divine appointments. Ruth's character in her time of waiting positioned her for destiny. Esther's preparation in the hidden chambers of the palace enabled her to carry the weight of a queen's responsibility. Mary, the mother of Jesus, was not chosen because She was married, but because she was pure, available, and aligned with God's plan. Their value was not determined by marital status, but by their readiness to obey God. This shows us clearly that God uses the season of singleness as a platform for greatness. He does not waste it. Every delay has a purpose. Every moment of waiting has hidden training. When you view singleness through the lens of preparation, it changes your perspective. Instead of asking, why am I still single? You begin to ask, what is God building in me during this season? Instead of feeling left behind because others are getting married, you begin to see that God is setting you apart for something uniquely yours. Preparation always takes longer when the assignment is greater. A skyscraper requires more time to lay a foundation than a small house. Likewise, the depth of your preparation in singleness is directly connected to the magnitude of your calling. This season is also a test of trust. Will you trust God's timing over your own desires? Will you allow Him to unfold His plan without forcing your own? When you attempt to rush ahead of God, you may end up with relationships that drain you rather than bless you. But if you wait, if you embrace the preparation process, God will align you with someone who is not just a companion but a partner in destiny. And until that time comes, you are not incomplete. You are whole, valuable, and significant in your singleness. So rather than mourning your singleness, celebrate it. Use this time to travel, to serve, to learn, to pour into others. This is the season where you can give your best energy to personal growth and kingdom impact without the added responsibilities of marriage. And when the time comes, you will not enter into a relationship desperate to be filled, but already filled and ready to share. You will not approach marriage as a solution to emptiness, but as an overflow of the abundance already within you. God is too wise to waste time, and He is too loving to withhold what is good for you. If you are single today, it is because God knows this season is necessary for your preparation. He is equipping you for the bigger plan that is about to unfold. Embrace it with gratitude. Walk in it with confidence. And remember that singleness is not a curse. It is a blessing, a training ground, and a divine season of becoming the woman God designed you to be. Solitude feels uncomfortable. People often resist being alone because it forces them to face themselves. Yet it is in solitude that God does His most powerful work of shaping identity. When a woman is single and finds herself without a partner, she may assume that something is missing. But what is actually happening is that God is positioning her in a place where He can speak to her heart clearly, without distractions, without competing voices, and without the pressure of trying to live up to someone else's expectations. Identity is not discovered in a crowd. It is uncovered in moments of stillness. God knows that if you do not first understand who you are in Him, you will enter into relationships with a misplaced sense of self, depending on others to define your worth. And when people are given the power to define you, they will also have the power to destroy you. Solitude is not the same as loneliness. Loneliness is emptiness, but solitude is fullness. It is the place where you encounter God and yourself in the deepest way. Many women rush into relationships because they fear being alone. But that very fear often becomes the seed of unhealthy connections. If you cannot sit with yourself, if you cannot enjoy your own company, if you cannot hear your own thoughts and recognize your own voice, then you will constantly crave someone else to fill the silence. But God, in His wisdom, allows solitude because He wants you to learn the beauty of self-awareness, the confidence of self-knowledge, and the strength of identity rooted in Him. It is in that place of solitude that you learn you are not defined by titles, roles, or relationships, but by your Creator's intention for your life. Think about the great figures of history and Scripture who were formed in solitude. Moses encountered God in the wilderness before he led Israel out of Egypt. David was shaped in the fields as a shepherd before he was crowned king. Even Jesus withdrew, often into lonely places to pray, to reaffirm his identity and purpose before facing the crowds. Identity cannot be solidified in public before it is anchored in private. And for many women today, God allows a season of singleness so that identity can be forged away from the noise of relationships. This is not rejection. This is refinement. God wants you to know who you are before you join your life with another, because a woman who does not know her identity will settle for less than what she deserves. When identity is not shaped in solitude, relationships can easily become cages. Without clarity about who you are, you may accept labels others put on you. Beautiful enough only if someone says it, valuable only if someone validates it, loved only if someone shows affection. But when you spend time alone with God, you begin to see yourself through His eyes. You realize you are already chosen, already loved, already valuable. This kind of revelation frees you from desperation. It gives you the ability to walk confidently in any season of life, whether single or married, because your sense of worth is no longer tied to external circumstances, but grounded in eternal truth. The danger of skipping solitude is that you may confuse activity with identity. Many women throw themselves into endless business, fearing the quiet, because in the quiet their insecurities speak the loudest. But God calls you to face those insecurities so He can heal them. He allows the silence so that the wounds of the past can surface and be addressed, rather than buried beneath the noise of constant company. In solitude, He reveals the lies you have believed, whether about beauty, success, or love, and He replaces them with His truth. He reminds you that your identity is not single or married, but daughter of the Most High God. From that place of identity, you can stand strong regardless of your relationship status. It is also in solitude that your gifts emerge. When you are not consumed with the responsibilities of partnership or the demands of another's expectations, you have space to develop your talents, your voice, and your passions. Solitude gives you permission to explore who you truly are without compromise. Many women discover their callings, their businesses, their ministries, and their creative abilities during their single season because they finally have the space to listen to what God placed within them. If you skip this process, you risk entering a relationship unformed, unable to fully contribute, and unaware of your potential. But when you allow solitude to shape you, you bring wholeness into your future partnership. You do not enter as half a person looking to be completed, but as a whole person ready to complement. The truth is, identity shaped in solitude is what protects you in relationships. A woman who knows who she is will not tolerate abuse, manipulation, or dishonor because her worth is not negotiable. She will not compromise her values for temporary affection because she understands her value is eternal. She does not chase after validation because she carries within her the unshakable confidence of being God's creation. This is why God insists on seasons of solitude, because He loves you too much to let you enter into something unprepared, to let you lose yourself in the search for love when you haven't yet found yourself. So when you find yourself in solitude, do not despise it. Do not see it as punishment, but as preparation. Use that time to build your relationship with God, to discover your strengths, to heal your weaknesses, and to embrace your identity. This is not wasted time. This is sacred time. The woman who emerges from solitude with a strong sense of identity is unstoppable. She is not shaken by rejection, not diminished by criticism, not dependent on constant affirmation, because she knows exactly who she is and whose she is. And when the time comes for partnership, she will bring that strength into her union, making her a blessing and not a burden. God uses solitude to shape identity because He knows that without identity, you cannot fulfill destiny. One of the greatest misunderstandings in life is believing that marriage itself creates purpose. Many women grow up hearing that the ultimate goal is to find a husband, raise a family, and live happily ever after. But this is not God's order. In His design, purpose comes before partnership. Before you are joined to anyone else, you are first joined to your assignment in life. God did not create people to simply exist in relationships. He created them to fulfill a calling. Marriage is meant to complement purpose, not substitute it. If you do not first know why you are here, you will look for that answer in another person, and when they cannot provide it, disappointment sets in. A relationship cannot give you the purpose you never discovered on your own. From the very beginning, we see this truth. Before Eve was introduced to Adam, God gave Adam work, vision, and assignment. Adam was placed in the garden to cultivate, to guard, and to name. Only when Adam was already functioning in purpose did God decide that it was not good for him to be alone, and He created Eve as a helper suitable for him. Notice carefully, Eve was not created to give Adam purpose. She was created to help him in the purpose he already carried. The principle is clear. Partnership is meant to enhance purpose, not replace it. That is why God will sometimes keep a woman single until she understands her own calling, because only then will she be ready to enter into a union that aligns with destiny instead of derailing it. When a woman enters a relationship without clarity of purpose, she often loses herself in the identity of the other person. She becomes so absorbed in their vision, their goals, and their desires that she neglects the unique assignment God placed inside of her. This is not the kind of partnership God intends. A healthy relationship is not one where one partner disappears into the other, but one where two people come together, both secure in their identities, both aware of their callings, and both contributing to the fulfillment of God's plan. If you do not know who you are and why you were created, you cannot properly discern whether a potential partner is meant to walk with you or not. That is why purpose must come first. It is the filter through which you evaluate every relationship. Purpose also brings clarity to choices. Without it, a woman can be easily distracted by relationships that look appealing but are not aligned with destiny. Every good-looking relationship is not a God-ordained relationship. Just because someone loves you does not mean they are assigned to you. The true measure is whether their presence supports your calling or stifles it. Does this person encourage you to walk in God's plan, or do they pull you away from it? Without clarity of purpose, you will struggle to answer this question. But when you are rooted in your assignment, you can immediately recognize whether a partnership is divine alignment or a detour. That is why God insists on developing your understanding of purpose before introducing the right person into your life. Purpose also protects your value. When you know what you carry, you refuse to settle for less than what you deserve. You do not attach yourself to anyone out of desperation or fear of being alone. Instead, you stand firm in the knowledge that your life has direction, and whoever joins you must be capable of walking that path with you. This confidence can only come when you understand that your identity and mission are established before marriage. Many women compromise their standards because they believe being single means they are incomplete. But once you see your singleness as a season of pursuing purpose, you realize you are not waiting to start your life. You are already living it. The right partnership will not begin your journey, but join it. It is also important to realize that purpose shapes timing. God does not delay relationships without reason. Sometimes the delay is because your assignment requires your full attention in this season. He may be asking you to focus on building something, leading something, or healing something before you share your life with another. If you skip that process, the relationship itself may become a distraction, preventing you from fully stepping into what God intended. When you embrace your purpose first, you are not simply waiting for marriage. You are preparing for it by becoming the woman who can carry both her assignment and the weight of partnership with grace. That is why the waiting season is not wasted time. It is purposeful time. Purpose-driven living also transforms how you see yourself. Instead of defining yourself by your relationship status, you begin to define yourself by your contribution to the world. You ask questions like, what problem am I created to solve? What gifts do I carry that are needed in my community? What legacy am I meant to leave behind? These are the questions that build a strong foundation of self-worth. When you answer them, you realize that you were created for more than simply filling a role in someone else's life. You were created to fulfill a divine mission, and the right partner will recognize, honor, and support that mission. But you must first recognize it in yourself. This is why many marriages fail. Not because the people involved did not love each other, but because they entered the relationship without clarity of purpose. Love is important, but love alone cannot sustain a partnership that lacks direction. Purpose is what gives love structure, stability, and meaning. When two people walk together in the same direction, guided by their assignments, their relationship becomes unshakable. But when direction is absent, even the strongest emotions fade under the weight of confusion. God knows this, and that is why He may hold back marriage until purpose is secure. So if you are single, do not spend your time merely wishing for partnership. Invest your energy in discovering your purpose. Ask God to reveal the assignment He created you to fulfill. Develop your gifts, pursue your passions, and step into the work you were designed for. When you do this, you will find that partnership is no longer a desperate need, but a divine addition. You will not cling to relationships out of fear. You will welcome the right one with discernment. Purpose comes before partnership because purpose gives partnership meaning. When you know your why, God can trust you with a who. Singleness is often misunderstood as a season of weakness, as if being without a partner makes you fragile, incomplete, or less valuable. But in truth, it is the very opposite. Singleness is God's training ground for strength and maturity. It is a period in life where you learn resilience, patience, discipline, and spiritual stability. These qualities are not automatically gained when you enter into a relationship. They are developed when you stand alone, when you carry responsibility for yourself, and when you face challenges without the immediate support of a partner. It is in these moments of standing on your own that your character is refined and your foundation is made strong. Marriage does not make you mature. It simply exposes the level of maturity you already possess. That is why God allows singleness as a season of building strength before the greater responsibilities of partnership arrive. When you are single, you are given the opportunity to practice independence in a healthy way. You learn to manage your own decisions, your own time, your own finances, and your own emotions. This self-management is critical because it becomes the basis for managing shared responsibilities later on. A woman who cannot govern her own life will struggle greatly when tasked with the additional duties of marriage and family. But when she uses her single years wisely, she grows in wisdom, learns how to solve problems, and develops the maturity needed to sustain not only herself, but also the household she may one day oversee. Singleness is therefore not a pause in life. It is active preparation for life at a higher level. Strength is not developed in comfort. It is developed in resistance. In your single season, there will be moments of loneliness, financial strain, or emotional battles that test your endurance. These trials are not punishments. They are exercises for your inner strength. Every time you overcome a challenge on your own, you become more resilient. You learn how to pray through difficulties, how to trust God without relying on someone else's faith, and how to carry yourself with dignity even when circumstances are tough. This resilience becomes an asset not only to you, but also to any relationship you may enter in the future. A strong woman does not crumble when storms arise. She stands firm, and her strength becomes a pillar for her household. Maturity also requires patience. Singleness teaches you to wait, to delay gratification, and to trust in God's timing rather than forcing outcomes. Many people destroy their future because they rush into relationships out of impatience, unwilling to endure the waiting season. But patience is a fruit of maturity, and it is cultivated when you remain faithful in the season you are in without constantly demanding the next one. When you learn patience as a single woman, you are better prepared for marriage, where patience will be required daily in communication, in conflict, in growth, and in compromise. Patience makes love sustainable, and singleness is the perfect ground where that patience is tested and proven. Spiritual maturity is another vital part of this season. When you are single, you have the freedom to deepen your relationship with God in ways that may not be as easy later when responsibilities multiply. You can dedicate time to prayer, study, and service without divided attention. This spiritual maturity equips you with discernment, guiding you in choosing the right partner and maintaining a relationship that honors God. Without this spiritual foundation, emotions and desires may cloud your judgment, leading to unwise decisions. But when you mature spiritually in your single years, you become anchored in truth, and you carry that anchor into your future relationships, providing stability and direction. There is also emotional maturity that comes only when you learn to handle yourself. When you are single, you confront your insecurities, your fears, and your wounds. You learn how to regulate your emotions without depending on someone else to constantly reassure you. This process of emotional growth is vital because relationships cannot heal brokenness that you refuse to address. If you skip this season of healing and growth, you may carry unresolved issues into marriage, expecting your partner to fix what only God and personal maturity can handle. Singleness gives you the chance to face these matters head on, to heal from the past, and to emerge as a whole, stable, and emotionally strong individual. Maturity also requires responsibility. Singleness forces you to take responsibility for your life without shifting blame or waiting for someone else to rescue you. You learn accountability for your choices, for your growth, and for your future. This is not only empowering, but also necessary, because partnership does not eliminate responsibility. It multiplies it. If you cannot manage responsibility in your own life, you will struggle to handle it when it is doubled. But a woman who has learned responsibility in her single season enters marriage, not as a dependent, but as a partner, fully capable of carrying her share of the weight. It is important to see that singleness is not simply preparation for marriage, it is preparation for life. Even if marriage is part of your future, the strength and maturity you build now are assets that will carry you in every area of your destiny: career, ministry, leadership, and influence. This is why God does not waste your single years. He uses them to shape you into a woman of wisdom, resilience, and maturity capable of handling the greater demands of the next season. If you resist this process, if you spend your single years only longing for them to end, you may miss the very lessons designed to prepare you for the future you desire. So instead of despising your singleness, embrace it as a sacred classroom where God is teaching you what you cannot learn elsewhere. Every challenge you face alone, every victory you win without external support, every responsibility you handle with maturity, all of it is shaping you into a stronger version of yourself. When the right partnership comes, you will not enter as someone weak and dependent, but as someone strong, mature, and whole, ready to contribute to the success of the union. Singleness builds strength and maturity because God loves you too much to send you unprepared into the weight of destiny. He is building in you the resilience to endure, the patience to wait, and the maturity to thrive, not just in relationships, but in every part of life. One of the hardest truths to accept in life is that God's timing rarely aligns with human desire. As human beings, we crave immediacy. We want our prayers answered today, our dreams fulfilled tomorrow, and our loneliness solved instantly. But God, in His wisdom, does not operate according to human schedules. He works according to divine timing, and divine timing is always about purpose, not impatience. For many women who remain single longer than they expected, the temptation is to believe something is wrong with them or that God has forgotten them. But the truth is that what feels like delay is often protection. God is keeping you from relationships that would derail you. And He is preserving you for the right season, the right person, and the right alignment. His timing may feel slow, but it is never late. When you move ahead of God's timing, you may get what you want, but it will not last. Human desire pushes us into premature relationships, into connections that look appealing, but are not equipped to sustain us long term. Many women settle for whoever shows them attention, driven by the urgency of desire, but later discover that impatience cost them their peace. A relationship outside of God's timing may satisfy loneliness for a moment, but it cannot satisfy destiny. That is why divine timing is more important. It ensures that what enters your life is not only good in the moment, but also lasting for the future. God is not interested in quick fixes. He is committed to eternal purpose. When God delays something you desire, it is never without reason. Sometimes the delay is because you are not yet ready. Other times it is because the person He has assigned to you is not yet ready. God works on both sides of the equation, and if either side is unprepared, the union cannot function as He intended. A seed planted too early in the ground will not grow because the soil is not prepared. In the same way, relationships formed outside of divine timing cannot produce the fruit they were designed for. God delays until the conditions are perfect, not because He wants to frustrate you, but because He wants to protect the integrity of your future. Waiting on God's timing also builds trust. Trust is the foundation of faith, and without waiting seasons, faith cannot grow. If everything you desired arrived instantly, you would never learn to depend on God, and your relationship with Him would remain shallow. The waiting teaches you that He is trustworthy, that His ways are higher, and that His plan is always better than your plan. It trains your heart to submit desire under obedience. In that process, you become stronger, wiser, and more discerning. The waiting season becomes less about what you do not have and more about who you are becoming. Human desire is often short-sighted, focused only on temporary relief or immediate happiness. Divine timing, however, is far-sighted. God sees the end from the beginning. He knows what you will need 10 years from now, what trials you will face, what opportunities will come, and what kind of partner will truly support you in those seasons. This is why He does not give in to human impatience. What you want today may not align with what you need tomorrow. If He gave you everything you desired the moment you asked, you would carry blessings that later feel like burdens. Divine timing spares you from this pain by aligning every gift with the season in which it can be best sustained. Many women feel discouraged when they see others getting married before them, as if God has overlooked their prayers. But divine timing is never about comparison. Just because someone else's chapter unfolds before yours does not mean your story has been canceled. Everyone's journey is different, and everyone's preparation is unique. What God is building in you may require more time, not because you are less valuable, but because your destiny requires a stronger foundation. Some assignments are heavier, and heavier assignments demand longer preparation. You cannot measure God's timing for your life by watching the clock in someone else's. There is also protection hidden in God's delays. Sometimes He allows time to expose what you cannot yet see. A person who appears kind and genuine today may reveal destructive character traits over time. If God rushed the process, you would be blind to those flaws, but delay gives space for truth to surface. In His love, He shields you from connections that would wound you even when you do not understand the reasons. Later, when you look back, you realize that what you thought was a painful delay was actually divine protection. Embracing divine timing also shifts your perspective in singleness. Instead of seeing it as wasted years, you begin to see it as purposeful years. Time to grow, to heal, to develop, and to walk fully in your calling. If you spend your waiting years only complaining, you miss the preparation that makes you ready for the very thing you desire. But when you embrace the waiting, you use the time wisely, and you emerge from it stronger, wiser, and prepared for the responsibility of partnership. It is also important to remember that God's timing is perfect because He Himself is perfect. He is not limited by time as humans are. He operates outside of it. What looks late to you is right on schedule in His plan. The delay does not mean denial. The fact that you are still single does not mean you will always be. It means that God is still aligning the pieces, still shaping the timing, still preparing the stage. And when the season arrives, it will not be a struggle, it will be a natural unfolding, a peace-filled alignment that carries His blessing. So while human desire says, I want it now, divine timing whispers, wait, it will be better than you imagined. The waiting is not easy, but it is always worth it. If you can surrender your timeline to God, you will discover that His timing is never about withholding, but about fulfilling in the best possible way. Divine timing is more important than human desire, because human desire changes with moods and emotions. But divine timing is anchored in eternal wisdom. What God brings at the right time will not only satisfy your desire, but also sustain your destiny. The sixth keynote speaks about the power of persistence and resilience, teaching us that life will always present resistance. But the true measure of greatness is found in how we endure and keep moving forward despite challenges. Every successful individual in history carries the story of pressing on when others gave up. Persistence is not simply about stubbornness. It is about vision, discipline, and commitment to finishing what you started. Life is designed in such a way that obstacles will always show up on the path of progress. The higher you rise, the greater the opposition. Yet, the one who refuses to quit is the one who ultimately wins. When you look at nature, you see this principle in action. A seed has to break through the soil, endure the pressure of darkness, and push against the dirt before it reaches the light. That is persistence. The same applies to our dreams. They require pressing through discomfort, discouragement, and delays before they can manifest. Many people lose heart when they face resistance, thinking it is a sign to stop. But the truth is, resistance is proof that you are on the right path. Opposition often shows up as confirmation that what you are pursuing carries weight, value, and potential. Resilience, on the other hand, is the inner strength to bounce back after setbacks. It is the ability to be knocked down, but rise again with even more determination. Resilience does not mean you will never feel tired, afraid, or discouraged. It means you refuse to stay in that state. It is the decision to stand again after life pushes you to your knees. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is not the absence of failure, but the presence of resilience. A resilient person learns from mistakes, grows from pain, and transforms failure into fuel. Think of inventors, leaders, and change makers who shaped history. None of them succeeded overnight. They were rejected, ridiculed, and opposed. Yet, their persistence carried them forward, and their resilience gave them the courage to rise after each fall. That is the spirit we need to embrace. Every challenge you encounter is an opportunity to strengthen your persistence muscles. Every setback is training ground for resilience. Without opposition, you would never develop endurance. Without resistance, you would never grow stronger. This is why life never hands out greatness cheaply. Success is hidden behind doors of struggle, so that only those persistent enough to keep knocking and resilient enough to withstand rejection can enter. Persistence shapes your habits, resilience strengthens your character, and together they prepare you to handle the weight of success once it comes. If you quit halfway, you disqualify yourself from the rewards waiting at the end of the journey. We must also understand that persistence and resilience are not only about reaching personal goals, but about becoming the kind of person who inspires others. People are watching how you handle pressure. Your ability to stand firm when others fall gives courage to those around you. Persistence builds credibility. Resilience earns respect. Your journey becomes a testimony, teaching others that setbacks are not the end, but stepping stones to something greater. If you are walking through a difficult season, do not let it break you. Let it shape you. Do not allow fear or frustration to silence your dreams. Stand firm, hold on, and push through. There is strength within you that only reveals itself under pressure. You may bend, but do not break. You may stumble, but do not surrender. Every step forward, no matter how small, is still progress. And if you keep going day after day, with persistence and resilience, you will discover that nothing in life can stop a person who refuses to quit. The conclusion of the entire speech ties every lesson together with clarity and conviction. Life is not a smooth path. It is a journey of struggles, obstacles, and hidden battles within the heart and mind. But each struggle is not meant to destroy you. It is meant to sharpen you, to build in you a strength that comfort could never produce. The storms you face are not signs of weakness, but divine classrooms where resilience, wisdom, and character are formed. Every time you rise after a fall, you prove that failure is never final unless you give up. Every moment of doubt is an opportunity to anchor yourself in faith, knowing that your Creator has planted greatness inside you that adversity cannot erase. The true measure of life is not in avoiding hardship, but in transforming hardship into steppings toward destiny. Struggles are temporary, but the lessons they leave behind are eternal. They remind you that pain births purpose, that weakness gives way to strength, and that obstacles reveal opportunities. So, as you walk forward, carry this truth. You are stronger than your struggles, greater than your fears, and destined for more than your current season. Do not resent your trials. Embrace them as the training ground for the person you are becoming. When life seems heavy, remind yourself that diamonds are formed under pressure, gold is refined by fire, and champions are shaped by battles. Therefore, never give up when life becomes difficult. Instead, look at your struggles as a gift, an invitation to rise higher, to trust deeper, and to step into the destiny prepared for you. What was meant to break you will build you. What was meant to silence you will strengthen your voice. And what was meant to limit you will launch you. In the end, you will discover that your struggles were not stumbling blocks, but stepping stones to the greatness within you.